Hello and welcome to another episode of Unboxing with Paul. And today I'm excited to bring you the TCL Stylus 5G versus the Motorola 5G Stylus second generation 5G. We're going to put them both head to head and we're going to figure out which one is the better buy based in price, camera, and performance. Let's take a look at them. Both of these devices have been out for a few months now, and what sets one apart from the other is that the Moto G Stylus is still a lot more expensive, coming in at about $499.99 for full retail versus the TCL 5G, which comes in at $258. And we're going to figure out if it's worth it to spend the money for the higher end Moto G Stylus versus the TCL Stylus 5G. They are both very similarly laid out, as they both feature pinhole microphones at the top. If we look at the bottom, they also have very similarly laid out features with your 1/8-inch line out for your headphones, as well as another pinhole microphone, a Type-C port for charging and data transfer, as well as speaker grills, and of course both of them have the built-in stylus. Both of these phones feature 128 gigabytes of storage. However, the Motorola will have 6 gigabytes of RAM, meanwhile the TCL will have 4 gigabytes of RAM, so just a little bit less on the multitasking side. Now the Motorola also features a slightly larger 5,000 milliamp hour battery, meanwhile the TCL gets a smaller 4,000 milliamp hour battery. On the bright side, both devices do feature Wi-Fi AC as well as NFC. However, the Motorola has Bluetooth 5.1, meanwhile the TCL has Bluetooth 5.2, so do with that information what you will. Once we get into the devices, you will all see they are very similarly laid out devices, nothing you haven't seen before, and if anything, the TCL looks just a little bit cleaner than the Motorola because it does have the Google and the extra tools put together into one folder. And of course, the Motorola is going to have the nicer, higher end Snapdragon 695 5G processor, meanwhile the TCL is going to have a slightly cheaper and lower end MT6833 processor, and we're going to run Geekbench very soon so you guys can see just how they compare, because even though their clock speed might be very similar in practice and in the real world, those numbers can be vastly different, and those numbers can perform very differently based on how we're using them. And just real quick for you all to check out the styluses that come, the styli that come included. Here is the one that is included for the TCL. It is flatter, it is broader, and it does have a mesh tip. And then here is the stylus for the Motorola phone. It is slimmer, it is rounder, and it is not quite as large as the one for TCL. On the right side, these are just capacitive touch stylus. These are not anything that needs to be paired or charged or synced to the phone. As I was trying to use the stylus, the one for the Motorola does feel a lot smoother and does feel a lot nicer. However, as I was really getting into it, I don't know if you guys can hear this. That is the sound of this stylus as I was, like laying into it. So I don't know if this is going to last. I don't like the sound of that. I guess that's on both of them. These are not durable styluses. They bend and they flex, and once you start really going into them, they make funky noises, and I don't know, that's just not very confidence inspiring. And these devices are not cheap. You would think that at these prices, at these price ranges, that they would do a better job of doing better quality control or just building better materials. I'm just very disappointed, honestly, in both of these styluses. I did not expect them to be this weak. I always knew that the stylus is a weak point in these phones. However, I did not expect it to disappoint me that bad. Meanwhile, we're waiting for Geekbench to finish downloading. Let's go ahead and fire up the cameras and then see what kind of selfies we take with this. So then this is a selfie for the TCL Stylus 5G, and then this is a selfie for the Moto G Stylus 5G second generation. Go ahead and see what our video looks like. So then we're going to do both side by side so that you all can see it. This is what video looks and sounds like on the front facing camera of the TCL Stylus 5G and also the Moto G Stylus 5G. You guys be the judge of how good or how bad these camera qualities are just as soon as we upload them into the MacBook. And then respectively, let's also go ahead and flip our cameras around. So then this is what video looks and sounds like on the main camera of the TCL Stylus 5G and also the main camera of the Moto G Stylus 5G second generation. You guys be the judge of how good or how bad these camera qualities are as soon as we upload them into the MacBook. The last thing we have left to do is to run Geekbench and see what kind of results we get. I will be right back with you as soon as this is over. Okay, and we are back, and I just wanted to catch it as soon as it was done so that you all can see just how much longer the other phone is going to take, as the Moto G Stylus finished up first, and we still have the TCL 5G Stylus at around 93%. That's what it was at when I came to check up on it, and it's still taking a little bit to finish up. It's lagging behind the Moto G Stylus 5G, but again, that was to be expected as this is a slightly lower end processor. But either way, let's go ahead and dive into it, and it looks like they're both done. And as we can see, we got a 666 for the single core and 1895 for the multi-core for the Moto G Stylus, and a 526 for the single core and a 1693 for the multi-core for the TCL Stylus respectively. We can see we're not that far behind from a Galaxy S21 Ultra in terms of performance, as we have about half or 2/3 of the performance for about a quarter or half of the price. And we don't need to spend that much more money to get that much more in return. Something similar happens again when we look at the multi-core. We got an 1895 and a 1693 respectively. But what does the Galaxy S21 Ultra have? A 3085. Again, we're almost halfway there. We're about 2/3 of the way there in terms of performance for about half and a quarter of the price respectively. I'll take that. You know, my final thoughts on this, at the end of the day, I do love Motorola. Don't get me wrong, I like them. It is a nicer product. It does feel nicer in the hand. Usually more attention and more detail is put into Motorola phones. However, when you're charging almost $500 for a Motorola and I can get it similarly spec'd for about half of the price, I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with the TCL Stylus 5G, only because it's half of the price. Almost all the specs are there. The only thing that we really don't have that the Motorola has is obviously a higher density screen, a better camera of course, a higher end processor, and 4 gigabytes of RAM as opposed to 6. But am I really gonna notice that on my day-to-day? Not really. And I always tell consumers, I always tell friends and family, if you're looking for a great camera, if you're looking for that next level camera, if you're looking for a really, really crisp, really high-end camera, buy yourself a camera. Purchase a dedicated shooter. Purchase a dedicated lens for that. Because at the end of the day, I do realize some phones do take better pictures than others, but if the camera is a deciding factor on your phone choice, then I think you're looking at the wrong things. Let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this? Which one out of the two would you pick and why? And as always, thanks for watching.